10 scary films. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Now, you are going to want to make sure you're sitting somewhere safe, wrapped up in a blanket, and have some popcorn nearby. We are about to count down the top 10 scariest horror films. And I'm talking actual scary films, not just blood and guts and things jumping out, but real scary. I have done my best to avoid spoilers in this video, but just be warned, there might be some very tiny ones. Starting us off and rolling in at number 10 is director Frank Darabont's The Mist. Based on an adaptation of one of my favourite authors, Stephen King's novels, it revolves around a sleepy town in Maine which loses all power after a thunderstorm during the night. Whilst all the locals meet up in a supermarket nearby to gather supplies, a strange mist envelops the town. We quickly learn that it is not all it appears to be, and more than we expect is waiting for us in The Mist. A great suspense horror filled with lots of little surprises and some excellent scenes. Building on tension in severe situations, it really explores what people are willing to do when pushed in an extreme scenario. Definitely add it to your list of watches this Halloween. Number 9, The Others. I remember watching this film at a friend's house when it came out on DVD. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty old, but that doesn't stop it being great. Now, I personally don't find many things scary. For me, blood and guts and things jumping out doesn't really equal scary. I've got a forensics degree and I've seen my fair share of blood and guts, so for me, being scary means building up suspense and not quite knowing what's waiting around the corner. The Others does a great job of this. Based on the British island of Jersey immediately after World War II, a mother and her 2 children live in a remote country house. Based on the British island of Jersey immediately after World War II, a mother and her 2 children live in a remote country house. The 2 children suffer from a rare disease that means they cannot be exposed to sunlight and have to follow a strict set rules to prevent this. As the film progresses, it becomes clear the family are not alone in the house. After the arrival of several guests, things begin to take a turn for the weird. Sanity begins to slowly slip away, along with what we think we knew from the start of the film. From unwanted guests to shocking twists in the plot, this film will keep you guessing the whole way through. Add it to your list. The first in a successful series, Insidious comes in at number 8. Evolving around a family moving to a new home whose life changes for the worst after a short number of events. When one of their sons, Dalton, is exploring the basement, he slips and falls from a ladder after seeing a figure down in the dark. The basement is quickly declared off limit, however the next day, Dalton inexplicably falls into a coma. After being declared untreatable, the family bring him home to be cared for, which is when a series of unexplainable events begin to take place. Figures begin to appear around the home, voices are heard over the baby monitor, and it appears that Dalton's lifeless body has become the interest of several malevolent spirits that have attached themselves to the home. Things begin to escalate quickly, and whilst I won't ruin the film for you guys, it has a very interesting backstory. One of my personal favourite scenes is when a dancing boy in old-time dress floats past a window to some pretty creepy music. Watch it for yourself. Number 7. Another entry based off a book written by the talented Mr. King, The Shining, sits at number 7. Spawning the famous line, "Here's Johnny!" Screen grabs of which I'm sure you may have seen on posters in bedrooms all over the world. The film revolves around yet another family who move to an isolated hotel in the mountains which gets snowed in during the winter periods. Jack, conveniently played by actor Jack Nicholson, is to live there with his family and work as a caretaker during the winter. Jack intends to use the isolation of the lodge to help with his writer's block and spend his days being creative. It slowly emerges, however, that the hotel, being built on Indian burial grounds, has more to it than first appears. Several hauntings begin to shake the family, and Jack slowly begins to lose his mind and turn on his family. Some really iconic scenes take place, and after watching this film, you'll never see twin children the same way again. Regarded by many as one of the best horror films to be adapted from book, Stanley Kubrick did a brilliant job of bringing King's book to life. Number 6. Sinister. Initially premiering at South by Southwest Festival, this film was a collaboration between the US, Canada and the UK. Once again, based around a family moving into a new home. What I'm starting to see here is that if you don't want to die in a horrific supernatural way, 1, don't have a family, and 2, if you do, never really move into a new home. Anyway, Ellison is a crime writer struggling with new ideas. He comes across a home in which a horrific murder by hanging takes place and decides to move in with his wife and 2 children, selfishly not letting them know of his past. I mean, how do you tell your family that? Yo, so the home we're moving into is great. By the way, you see that tree outside? Yeah, 4 people hung from it? Whoops. Ellison intends to uncover more about the story behind the crime by living in the house, and basing his newest book on the story of it and the 5th child from the family went missing after they were murdered. Upon discovering a box in the attic containing tapes and a projector, Ellison discovers they are in fact a bunch of snuff films of various families being murdered. Shortly after, things take a turn for the worse and we discover the horrific history behind the box of tapes and exactly what happened to the families. Always a sucker for a good twist and being kept in suspense, this film should definitely be on your watched list. 5. I see dead people. No, seriously, I do. Spoiling another classic line, The Sixth Sense was a massive hit during its release in the late 90s. Starring Bruce Willis and directed by M. Night Shyamalan, it makes it into the top 5 of this list. Returning home with his wife from being praised for his work, Dr. Malcolm Crowe, a child psychologist, finds himself confronted by a former patient of his in his home. This patient then proceeds to shoot at the doctor before ending his own life. Months later, Crowe begins to work with a new patient, a young boy who's troubled by several issues. Crowe becomes dedicated to the young boy, Cole, and helping him with his problems. Crowe and his wife appear to become very distant during this period and barely communicate or do anything together. As the story progresses, we discover that the young boy's problems all seem to stem from one thing: he sees dead people. That's pretty messed up. The dead are always walking around, unaware of their fate, and at times haunt the young boy, obviously terrifying him. Crowe suggests trying to talk to the dead to see if Cole can help them, and it's from here that the story progresses to a shocking twist. With a great plot and lots of terrifying moments, this film more than deserves its spot at number 5. Number 4. For me, any film which bases its roots in a true story instantly becomes more terrifying. The Conjuring does just that. Based around a popular case of Ed and Lorraine Warren, notorious paranormal investigators of the 70s. The film follows an investigation in which Ed and Lorraine are called up with family at a farmhouse in Rhode Island. The family has been victim to several hauntings during their short time in the house, and the family dog refuses to enter. One kind of good sign that you shouldn't be living there. One of the daughters is even attacked by a spirit during their time in the house. But when Ed and Lorraine arrive, they discover the house is in need of an exorcism, and it may have been cursed by a previous tenant who killed herself after sacrificing a child to the devil. Pretty deep stuff. As Ed and Lorraine attempt to rid the house of its evil spirits, the film gets progressively tense and provides tons of scary moments. Very well put together. Go see it. 3. Now, this Australian film, The Babadook, is extremely atmospheric and at times can be draining to watch. With its intense scenes and very depressing nature, it has gained a cult following since its release back in 2014. Pegged as a psychological thriller, it certainly provides the goods. Based around a mother and son who live in a small Australian town and become the victims of several strange occurrences after Amelia reads a book to her son, Samuel, titled Mr. Babadook. The pop-up book tells the story of a monster that torments its victims after they become aware of its existence. Samuel's mother is concerned about the mysterious appearance of the book and Samuel's belief that the monster is real. Shortly after, a chain of events take place that leads to believe that maybe he might be right. For me, a personal highlight of the film is the repetitiveness and sheer creepiness of the line Babadook. Guaranteed to scare younger brothers and sisters worldwide when you whisper it into their room in the middle of the night. Don't do that. Expertly directed and put together in such a way that you question what may actually be going on in the film, it comes highly recommended. Number 2. Now, I remember watching this film late at night on a crappy TV in my room when I was actually supposed to be asleep. I was definitely very young and I definitely had a very wild imagination. Safe to say it gave me lots and lots of nightmares for weeks to come. Cheers, Poltergeist. You made it to number 2 in this list. When a family begin to notice supernatural happenings in their home, at first they are impressed and unafraid as the spirits seem friendly and playful. However, things take a turn for the worst as the spirits become more spiteful and take a specific interest in the youngest child of the family, providing many scenes which to me as a child seemed perfectly reasonable and could happen to anyone. I was actually terrified. Like, I don't want to be waking up to see my toys playing by themselves. Who does? Regardless, the film goes on to a very tense conclusion in which the family turn to the help of an exorcist in an attempt to save their family home. Watch this one if you want nightmares. And here it is, in my opinion, one of the scariest films made in a long time. Characterized highly by its ridiculously good soundtrack, not having an actual clue what is going on for a good part of the film, and the continuous fear that whatever it is may be coming very soon. It follows my selection for scariest horror film, nailing the art of not quite filling us in on what's going on, but we know it is. The horror of this film lays in the unknown, which deep down is something everybody fears. Not to ruin the story too much, the film is based around an entity which follows its victims wherever they may be, and upon finally catching up with them, kills them. The problem is, it doesn't look like anything in particular. Taking on the appearance of someone you may know, or a complete stranger, it will follow you, always at a walking pace, to wherever you might try and hide. The film follows a group of friends as one of them becomes a centre of attention for this mysterious entity, as they try to find out exactly what it is and if there is any way it can be stopped. To explain it properly, you just kind of have to see for yourself, but I can promise it is more than worth it. So thanks for hanging around to the end, guys. All of the films in this list are entirely my own opinion and based off of my idea of what I find scary. Feel free to let me know what you think of my decisions in the comments below. Also, feel free to suggest me some new watches, because I'm always on the lookout for a new scary film. Thanks again, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!